Okay, I'm being told we have only 5 minutes for questions, so if anyone has any pressing ideas on their mind, please line up behind the microphone. But I'm going to take the privilege of the microphone to ask a couple to start for one, I'm told. Deepak, I want to ask you, you raised an interesting point about sort of racial history and the role that plays in kind of the landscape that we have out here now. But I find as an observer, as a journalist for many years, the minute you raise the notion of race, you kind of shut down the conversation because people are so uncomfortable with our nation's racial history. How do you reconcile sort of that reality with what you know the facts are to be? I mean, how do you get there?
You know, I've had this interesting experience over the last year. We're doing a major organizing project in manufactured home communities in the country, which are largely poor white communities. And they are largely invisible from this conversation about inequality and poverty in the country, and I think it is actually part of what's going wrong. And so I've had this very practical experience of working with people who, frankly, some start as Fox News conservatives, but very quickly move. And I think the key to opening people's hearts and minds to the reality of the depth of racist history in this country is to acknowledge that they have pain and struggle too, but that is in part caused by this history. In other words, that when we say that racism is fundamental, it is fundamental for African Americans, for Native Americans, for Asian Americans, for Latinos, but not just. It's corrupted this entire society from top to bottom. And if you can make the case in a way that creates a bridge to shared solutions, I think we can do it. And I think we're learning a lot about how to do it, but walking away from it is just a very dangerous path. It's not going to get us to the promised land. Yes.
Good morning. My name, is it an echo? My name is Almaz Nagash. I am the Managing Director of Step Up Silicon Valley and a member of the College of Experts. So I'm going to go back to Anne, what you mentioned. I think what frustrates all of us is how much knowledge there is and how much discussion there is. I think what I'm missing is what is it that we're going to do to design an answer that is going to take us somewhere where we can actually do a targeted investment to the deliberate disinvestment. These things are existing, and I am in one of the richest regions in the country or in the world, Silicon Valley. 19% of that population cannot make ends meet. 2% of the population is African American, majority are Latino. And we've just created in a concept paper, which I'm going to present.
We have to get right to the point.
Yeah, I know, but what I wanted to say is there are so many different projects happening. What I wanted to see is when are we going to become the Uber, which actually disrupted the system, the taxi system. We need to think in disruptive innovation that is going to make something, because if we keep coming and presenting our research, I'm just wondering when are we going to do the action? That's just my...
I think one of the problems is that in this room there's a lot of knowledge, as you said, but it's really hard to come up with a message that the everyday person can actually carry. Sorry, did I do that wrong? Oh, that the everyday person can actually carry. So, for example, the 99 percenters was a message, real simple, 99 percenters, everybody got it. But we needed to have a message that we can all motivate. When we had the big tax policy changes in Congress, we, the civil rights and the people of color, we didn't rally our forces in a way that they could actually help us carry that message well. So as academics and analysts and, we can come up with all this data that supports our message, but if we can't get a message that resonates, it's hard to motivate the sources of power that we need.
And last question.
Yes, good morning. I first wanted to say thank you to the panel. It's been wonderful but incredibly sobering information. My name is Robert Brown. I'm a researcher and educator, and my question is, I am deeply troubled by the economic stress that many college graduates who are black are facing. More and more coming to me and saying, I have done all the things I've been asked to do. I've checked the boxes. I've completed this degree, and now I cannot deploy the education I've worked so hard to earn. What it has done is it has created an entirely new generation of young people who are quite frankly demoralized and oftentimes they're coming from families that have been affected mightily by the economic collapse. And so I'm wondering if there are strategies or protocols that you may be aware of that can be brought to bear to help these young people understand that they are going to get the traction that they need, but it may take a little bit longer than they may expect.
Anyone?
Well, I think there are a number of proposals to think about reducing student debt. I mean, I think it's an issue, as Deepak talked about, that's unifying. Students graduating with debt that would take years to pay off, going into jobs that don't even require a college degree, I think is a unifying, that there could be a unifying strategy around that. And of course, there are some great proposals out there, but I think the piece is really kind of organizing around that. And I think that students could play a major role in that organizing. I mean, the key is, yes, you know, students are coming out with debt, but Black students, particularly Black women and Latinas, are coming out with the most debt. And so I think there's a way that we can tell the story about what it means, what opportunity really means. Someone reframed student debt, which I loved, called opportunity debt. And what we're really seeing is that opportunity is being lost. So there's, I think, a lot of more organizing to do around that issue. I know it doesn't completely give you a golden nugget, but I do think that there's hope there.
Well, thank you so much. We have to end it here, but thanks for being such a great audience.